Hello Flosstube. Hello to all my fellow creatives. Hello to all my cross-stitching friends. My name is Margaret. This is my channel, Maggie Lou Stitches. Welcome to 2026. I'm here at the beginning of January with not only an update of my cross-stitching over the last bit over a month. Actually, I meant to come back at Christmas time. I had such good intentions and I really did mean it when I said that at the end of my last video. But boy, December was a bit of a tough month, people. I don't know what it is about December. Well, I do. It's that whole end of year plus Christmas thing. And we don't even celebrate Christmas in a very substantial way, but I was tired in December and I really feel the difference. Now, new year, new energy. Here's hoping. Anyway. So I'm back to talk about my cross-stitching as per a usual floss tube of mine. However, I sort of forgot that new year, new WIP parades by everybody. I've been watching a whole lot of WIP parades. They're so fun to watch. I really appreciate this time of year and seeing everybody's projects. And suddenly I realized I have enough projects to call this a WIP parade. Yeah. No more monogamy for me, like I said last time. Now, I don't have many projects, but 2026 is the year they will be growing, and I'm really looking forward to that. So why don't I just start by showing you what I've been working on, where my projects are at. I've got one new start. I've got lots of potential new starts. I'll show you a few of those. But let me begin by taking you through my projects and what I've been working on. So I think I'll go from my new start first because it has the least amount of stitches, and I'll go up to my project that is the oldest and has the most amount of stitches. So just the other day, I've already shown you this project, but this is my new start for this year. This is Black Cat's an RTO kit, which I refer to as Charlie, because this is exactly my Black Cat Charlie. And I heard somebody say on their floss tube the other day that they were stitching something of their pet and they wanted to hurry up and stitch it before it ever became a memorial stitch. And Charlie's 16 and I'm like, that's a very good point. Best to get on this because it'll be too hard to stitch afterwards. But now it's just fun. She's sitting right next to me, right by the window. Look, people, just a bit of a sidebar. Here in Perth, boy, it's hot. It's hot. And that's all I have to say about that, other than so right next to me is a big bank of windows, and I always like to open that up for floss tube because it gives me good light to record by. But of course the other thing is in summer, that's where all the morning sun comes in. So we actually try to keep those block-out curtains closed throughout the morning so that the house doesn't heat up. And so, here it was 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm opening them up. Oh, I nearly got blinded by the sunlight. I thought this is going to be interesting, isn't it? But Charlie's sitting down there in the sunshine. She's happy as. Back to my RTO kit. So I had a start. I am stitching this on 36 count, just a plain white linen by Zweigart. And I've started on the tail. I hadn't thought that I might need to put this in front of something. I'll put it in front of my iPad. So it's just a small start. Actually, I think I'm 5% done though, which is always funny when you're doing a smaller project and the percentages, are bigger and the bit you've stitched. So that's my Black Cat by RTO coming along. Like, look, there's something that's happened to me this year with black and white palette. I don't mean to stitch in black and white. I'd like to have lots of colourful stuff, but at the moment I do have a few projects that are just going to be in black and white, or grey as well, a grayscale pattern. So that's just how it is. But I do like how you can see the grey coming in there in the tail. Yeah. So that is my new start. That shouldn't theoretically take me too long to do. So, yay for new starts. I do have another new start coming up. Well, why don't I plan be damned. I'm going straight there. I'm going to show you what this is. Because I'm just waiting for the materials to come. I've ordered all the materials and this is going to be a new start, you know, this month or next month. But let me show you what that is. Yeah, so this is called Angel of Condolences and Remembrance. It's by Your Family Print on Etsy, is where I purchased it from. And so see what I mean about the black and white palette? At least there's red in this, but I love her. And I love the sentiment of having an angel to help us with condolence and remembrance and grief. We do talk about that a fair bit in my family here because, well, because of course we've lost people. That happens, doesn't it? But my sister's husband died and my brother's wife died, and both of them way too young, and we still talk about them a lot and, you know, share our grief and our remembrances. And I just feel like this angel is helping us with that. So anyway, I'll be starting her soon. She's my new big project for the beginning of the year. Yeah, staying with grayscale projects, and my next beautiful project that I love. This is called BTS2 Cross Stitch by Gold Art, which no longer exists. Now, if you'll remember, we're all having a BTS lesson through this because each time I'll be stitching one of the members. Here he is. This is Kim Namjoon. I've finished the first member of the 7 BTS members. Stage name RM, and he's the leader of BTS. And there we have him. And of course, next I'll be going on to Kim Seokjin, going on to all 7 members across this panel. But at the moment we have Kim Namjoon. And gosh, this is deceptively enjoyable to stitch because even though it's grayscale, it does have purples and greens within the stitching. And it's very enjoyable to stitch. Well, also, because it's Kim Namjoon. Say no more. Army will understand. All right. Charlie has just decided to join us. And so I just thought I'd introduce her, but she does get cranky. So she didn't like that, but that's okay. She can stay on my lap if she doesn't attack me. But we'll see. She's probably like, I'll stay on your lap if you don't bother me. Sorry, Charlie. Okay, on to my next project. This one I'm calling Blue Tobacco. You may remember it's on a Belfast linen in the colour of tobacco, and I am doing a project called Sampler 148. Except like I said, I'm calling it Blue Tobacco. And it is, I've gotten a good start on it now. Just hold on. I'm gonna just angle this properly. This is my start on Blue Tobacco. Now, when I last showed you this is all done in DMC 797, and I was contemplating maybe using a sulky blendable colour, and I was waiting for that to come to do a little test stitch, and it did come, and I've got it here, and I did a test stitch. And it's really lovely. But when I did a test on this fabric, it didn't look as good as the 797. So now I've got this to use for another project, which I'm looking forward to doing. I enjoyed stitching in variegated, so I'm looking forward to using that for another project. But it was confirmed then, 797 is the colour for Blue Tobacco. That will continue to grow. I'm really looking forward to that. Boy, these monochrome geometric ones test my cross-stitch counting skills, much more so than full coverage. I've made so many counting errors in this. I'd go to line something up and go, why isn't that lining up? Why isn't that? I'd have to count back. Oh, so I have to concentrate for this, which is odd. It sort of looks like this wouldn't need much concentration. maybe it won't, maybe I'll get used to it, but I'm really enjoying this. I'm really glad I did start it. You know, I mentioned that I was in a bit of a love-hate relationship with this fabric, but now I'm happy. So that's good. Okay, that is my sampler 148. Next, for my lovely niece, I am stitching Floral Boho Girl by Laser Arts Designs on Etsy. Let me just check I've got it the right way. Okay, with this girl, I mentioned last time that I was a bit worried that I wouldn't have enough margins, that I left myself a bit short. So I actually, even though I started in the middle of the project, I quickly just stitched out to each side just to make sure, and it's going to be fine. It is tight, but it's going to be fine. As last time, this beautiful fabric is not coming out so well, but it is 28 count linen called Spring Watercolours by Flair, and it is such a pretty, subtle, pastel, mottled, variegated fabric that doesn't, well, it doesn't show very well when I'm showing it to you on my camera, but I notice sometimes when I'm watching floss tubes, I hear floss tubers say that they say, oh, that's not coming up very well. But actually, I feel like we're getting a really good view of it. Like they'll say, oh, the yellow's not coming out. And I go, no, I see yellow. So I'm aware that there's a difference between my camera that I'm recording on and your screen that you're going to be seeing it on. So here's hoping that you're seeing lovely pastel variations in there, and that I've got a good start on Floral Boho Girl. I'm just in her hair and her neck and coming over to her face here. And that still is very enjoyable as well. Oh, Floral Boho Girl lives in my very first project bag, people. Look how pretty this is. So pretty, and honestly, I cannot tell you how lovely the quality of this is. I absolutely love the little zipper fob. And look at those angels. This is such lovely quality. And actually, I was very fortunate. I was shopping at my local needlework store a few months ago, and I happened to be there when the ladies who make this visited the store to supply them with their stock. And I hadn't really noticed that they were stocking them there or anything. And I had a look, and I just kind of went, oh, can I have a look at, you know, the stuff you're bringing in? And they showed me. And that's when I saw just what beautiful quality their bags are. They're called Zen Sewing Studio, and they do beautiful bags. And so I got one. And I like I've said before, I didn't think I needed a project bag. Now this is the first of many. In fact, I've even bought some fabric to make my own, because I know I can, and you know, I've watched the tutorials, and so that'll be something I hope to do this year as well, if I can stop cross stitching. Because speaking of like multi, you know, crafting, like sewing as well as cross stitching, I've been showing you Zentangles all along and been going to keep up with my Zentangle artwork as well. Haven't touched it in a month, haven't even looked at it. And I'm like, oh, rest in peace. Zentangle cross stitch may be taking over my actual world. But we'll see. Maybe it'll be different next month when I come back and go, oh look, I've done all this work on Zentangle. Who knows? But no Zentangle today because I didn't get any progress on it. Okay, that just leaves 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like I've got lots of projects. That's actually only 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Never mind. Except, of course, my big full coverage, my butterfly, which I'm going to show you. This is what it looks like. I actually brought out the card for that one. Got it here. Hold on a moment. Any minute now. Oh, here we go. This is what it's going to look like when it's finished. This is Stained Glass Butterfly 3. art by IvyCottageHome, charted by Stitches So Beautiful. This was a Christmas gift last year by my husband Matthew, and you know, those who've been watching me know this, but just for the sake of repetition, or anybody new, for Christmas I always ask for my family to scour the internet and send me a picture of a cross stitch that they really love, that they think, wow, if you stitch this, that'd be amazing. I've asked them not to buy it for me, and I'm making no promises, but I want to see what they like, and it's the same kind of thing as watching Flosstube, actually. That's one of the things I love about Flosstube. Some of my favourite Flosstubers actually stitch things that aren't my aesthetic, aren't particularly what I want to stitch, but I love seeing how they love it, and I love seeing cross-stitch and art through different people's eyes, seeing the beauty, as they said. Because sometimes I'll see something and think, I don't really like that very much, and then the person talks about it and connects with it and explains their connection with it, as you know, light or as profound as that could be, whether it's just I like the colours or whether it's actually a very meaningful piece for symbolic reasons. And by the end of it, I'm like, oh, they're right. I love that. So that's sort of why I like to see what my family like. Anyway, so back to stained glass butterfly. That's what Matt suggested to me last Christmas, not knowing that that was actually in my favourites list on Etsy anyway. And so I just went, oh yay, that's a winner. And I'd never done a full coverage before, so this was a start. Now, this is where I'm up to, and unfortunately, well, fortunately and unfortunately, I'm not going to show you the whole thing this time because I've decided that I'm so close to the end that I'm going to save that for the big reveal. And by so close, I mean I'm 86% complete. So I just have been working on the bottom of the butterfly's wings. I've, you know, been going across the whole length of it, just roughly doing Stitching Mummy's typewriter method, but I do stitch the threads out quite a lot going down, sort of quite cross-country really. But then I sort of go back to the stitching method so that I'm essentially, you know, going in lines down the pattern. So this is the bottom of the butterfly and we're coming into a finish, people. So this has been a bit of a focus. It takes up, I have a daily stitch goal on this, which is about 340 stitches at the moment. And gee, every day is different. Some days it is hard to get those 340 stitches in. And some days it's like, got that done in the morning. I can stitch all sorts of other things, or, you know, this in the evening or the rest of the day. So this is my focus. I try to get my 340 in on this, and then any other time that I've got left, I go on to my other projects in sort of rotation. So that's where I'm at with that. Which brings me to this Christmas that has just passed, where I asked for my family to do the same thing, and they obliged. Look, I don't like to dob on him, but I'm going to, except for my son. For some reason, he just doesn't like it. He doesn't like the idea, and he just says, no, sorry, nothing from me. There is nothing on the internet in cross stitch that he likes. Look, I don't know why, but you know, you kind of got to go like, okay, that's fine. But let me show you what my family did pick as, oh, I've got a hair, thanks Charlie, as suggested patterns, and this was really fun. I'll start with my daughter and what she showed me. Jillian, really unexpected picks, and it's that kind of thing where it sounds like a passive-aggressive thing to say, but it's like when somebody shows you something and you go, what I want to say is, oh, you like this. And that's how I felt with Jilly's. And I'm not saying anything against her choice. I was just surprised. I hadn't picked this as her aesthetic or something she'd like. But anyway, let me show you. She actually picked two patterns for me to consider. One is this cute little kit by Permin. And it's little birds. I think it's called Water Supply. And it's little birds, again, the black, the grayscale. Thank goodness it's got some red in it. So that was one of her picks, and I do think it is very delightful. It's very sweet. I do like that. I do like it a lot. Let me show you her other pick that surprised me greatly. This one is a Dimensions kit. This is fascinating to me, and it's called Egret in Flight. Look at the background stitches. I'm assuming there's black work in the background there. Very different colour palette to what I would have expected, but yeah, she was like, you know, this is really nice. Oh, cool. I'm still undecided about this one, probably for me just in terms of the colour palette. It's very neutral, as if that should be a problem. I'm doing grayscale ones, for goodness sakes. But anyway, this one's growing on me, but I am very interested in those background stitches. I mean, what an interesting way to do background. You know, quite often in larger projects, like background is kind of like, I'm just doing the background, can't wait to get to the main thing, the main object. But in this, the background would be very interesting to do. So that was that. Thank you, Jillian. Jilly's best friend, Freya, joins us for Christmas every year. And so I said, look, Freya, this is what I do for Christmas. Do you want to join in? Can you show me a cross stitch? I asked her a few weeks before. I gave her some warning. I'm so glad I did. But this again is so unusual. This is a really good example of what I'm talking about, where it's not something I would have gravitated towards, and now I'm like, oh, I think I want to stitch this. This is a vintage pattern. Skaters in a winter field. And I just really enjoy this. I think I want to stitch it. And like Freya said, she really likes the little figures that are just skating around, and so do I. Look at those little guys. Oh God, I think they're cute. Now, so I see it's a vintage pattern, and I really want to make it, except look at all that white. Like, white stitching is something to take on. Big chunks of white like that. For a start, my white stitching does not sit as neatly as my other stitching, and plus just, I don't know how my eyes will go. But maybe if I do all the rest first and then fill it with white, I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to do this, I don't know. But thank you, Freya. I really, really like this. Wouldn't have picked it. Now, Matthew. Just like Jilly picked two, Matthew picked quite a few. The first one he picked, I was just like, oh, well, yes, yes. Check this for colour. This will get me out of my grayscale stitching. This is simply called Water Lilies. It's designed by Melody Stitch Designs on Etsy. And I just went, yes, Matthew, yes. In some ways, it's quite similar to Butterfly. Even though it's not stained glass, a lot of the design has sort of almost stained glass elements where the brown roots kind of act as borders, like a stained glass effect, and then filling it with all those colours. But anyway, I think that's absolutely beautiful. It is definitely on the cards. I don't know when for. So the day I just go, yep, we're starting that now, because yeah, I'm not afraid of starting new things now. I mean, I haven't yet gone crazy, but they're in my favourites list and they're ready to go, don't you worry. Okay, so that was the first one, but he said after that he found, oh well, he showed me this. This was the next one I saw. And I went, oh, you found Long Dog Samplers? And he said, oh yes, I found Long Dog Samplers. And he said, these were two that I liked straight away, but he said, honestly, I had to stop myself from just printing off so many of them to show you, because he was just like, really? They're all magnificent. I was like, yeah, I know. So this one is Soliloquy, and this one is Act of God. And I was like, yeah, look, you know, it's not new to me to be considering Long Dog Samplers. I have spent a fair bit of time deciding if I want to do one of those. And I mean, particularly when I was considering what to stitch on my tobacco cloth, I looked at a lot of Long Dog Samplers because I thought maybe that's the obvious pick. And in the end, I went with this 2x2 pattern instead. So it's just interesting to have somebody else go, yeah, these are great. I'm like, they really are, aren't they? So I'd say there's a long dog sampler in my future. I'm not in a hurry to start these. I think that sampler at the moment fits that need. But you know, with the sulky, with the sulky thread, the long dog sampler, I'm set to go, aren't I? So happy Christmas to me. Happy Christmas, people's ideas and appreciation of cross stitch. I just love it. I love having an excuse to make people join my world for a moment, which, you know, that's why it's very frustrating that my son cannot be forced to even join my world for a second. But, you know, I always remind myself, it's like he and Matt are out on a ride at the moment. It's Sunday morning, they're going on one of their long rides, and I always remind myself, it's like him saying, well, you come for a ride with us. No thanks. I was riding. 2024 was my riding year. I'm in my swimming phase now, doing laps down at the pool. I'll be doing that later today too. Oh, I'll be grateful for it. Okay, everybody, I think that's it. That's what I've got to show you today. It actually feels really quick. And I did think about, look, okay. Oh, no, there is a couple more things. What am I forgetting here? Okay. I did actually think about going through and doing a revisit of my finishes in 2025. And then I decided not to, and I just got all my things for this. I was going to not do that. And then I watched Barbara, the Seashore Stitcher, do her retrospective of everything she stitched in 2025. It was so enjoyable that I just went like, oh, there's real value to that actually. Maybe I do want to do that. So perhaps I'll do it in a separate video. I'm not quite sure yet, but yeah, maybe that's something I'll do as well. A little look back. And the other thing is, I do want to shout out another cross stitcher, another Flosstuber, who I have been enjoying so much. And oh, I really recommend you go and watch this Flosstuber. Her name is Astrid. Her channel name is Adorable Hobby. Fascinating. Astrid is, I love this for a start, Astrid is from Peru and she's living in Japan. And she's stitching from every country all over the world. Like, she's stitching very different, you know, some designs we're familiar with, some that I haven't seen before, as is the way with all of us Flosstubers. We're going to see what's different and what's the same. Astrid has the most beautiful aesthetic. Her stitching, the way she presents it on her Flosstube, the way she talks about it, very calm, very, I mean, it's called Adorable Hobby because she finds this hobby so adorable, and the way she presents it is adorable. It's just, every time I sort of feel a bit of a broken record commenting on her Flosstubes, because I want to say, gosh, your aesthetic is so beautiful. The things you choose, she makes a lot of color changes to charts, you know, changes things a little bit to her ways, to her preferences, does a lot of fully finished objects, ornaments. The way she finishes things is so beautiful. So beautiful. Go and watch Astrid at Adorable Hobby. She's an absolute delight. I'm so glad to have found her channel. And I think, am I right in saying that she also does them in Spanish as well? I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine now finishing this video, then starting again in another language. I have such appreciation for people doing that. Not because it helps me to watch both, but just because I'm like, they're really clever. Being multilingual, I think, is really clever. Anyway. Okay, I think that really is everything. I look forward to coming back next time. I don't know when it'll be, but I assure you there will be new projects, maybe new project bags. Oh, I'm a bit excited about that. Thank you everybody for coming and watching. Thank you to all my regulars. Thank you to my friends. And thank you to any new people who clicked on this video to check out my stitching, my very small WIP parade from here in Perth, Australia. Look, I'm coming along, Not that we have to be stitchers of any way, shape or form, but I do feel a sort of renewed enthusiasm for cross stitch. You know, again and again. With each project it brings renewed enthusiasm. And like I said at the beginning, 2026, I'm glad you're here. You know, onward to a new year of new stitching. Everything feels just a bit more promising and full of hope at the beginning of the year, for me anyway. That's how I feel. So I hope you all feel, you know, hopeful and looking forward. There goes Charlie. Hopeful and she's left a little paw print on my thigh because I'm wearing shorts. So she's like, I've got a little paw print on my thigh. That's cute. Yeah, that's it. Stay well. Till I see you next time, come say hi in the comments. Tell me what you're stitching for the new year. Tell me how you've been going. I love making friends in the comments, I really do. It's been lovely to meet so many of you. Happy New Year. Till next time. Bye.